It's a little bit of both in terms of the experience and form. We had a really tough decision with in this game with Alan Jones and Mario Toji in terms of both of them quality players, and we decided for this match, and things may change later in the tour. We've gone with a little bit of experience in terms of a player knowing that he has to play well because he's got a youngster breathing down his neck, and as coaches sometimes those are the things that you do, and both outstanding players, and so sometimes that experience can count in terms of a player knowing that he has to go out there and perform and against a youngster who's still learning his trade, but is going to be an outstanding player in the future. And it's a bit of a feel sometimes, and you can't always. Players sometimes come to you and afterwards and want to know why they've been left out. And as a coach, you don't always have the decisions, or the answers in terms of giving that feedback. Sometimes just about the feel, about your own experience and the past and what's worked for you, and just trying to make what you think is the right call. We've tried to pick players on this tour, based on form, and we've tried to deliver a message to the squad that there's still an opportunity later on the tour, and the message on Tuesday night to the players for the Chiefs game was, we haven't made a final decision in terms of selection. Go out there, perform, make an impact, and make us, think about you in terms of your performance before we select the team the following day. And a couple of players were able to do that. So it's just trying to deliver consistent messages to the player, and making sure that it's not just talk, and that we're delivering on what we say, because that's pretty important, that the players believe you and they trust you, that you're actually going to follow through, and it's just not white noise in terms of not being authentic in what you do tell the players. But probably from the start of the tour, if I looked at the start of the tour and look now at the first test, there's probably, I'd say, half the team would be a little bit different to what I would initially imagined, what the selection would be for the first test. And I think that's brilliant. I mean, because you've come in there with an open mind, you haven't been prescriptive, and players have taken their opportunities, taken their chances, and have been able to play their way into the first test. I think probably the squad now for the first test would be about half of them would have been different to what I would have initially imagined, and it's been great to see that players have taken the opportunities, have played themselves into the first test selection, and we'd like to think that first test team has picked on form. Players that have played particularly well and have done well. The hardest thing about a Lions tour is that you sometimes get one chance or two chances, and you need a little bit of luck, and the team that you're playing in happens to play well and wins. That gives you sometimes a greater opportunity, or another player isn't selected because he's injured or whatever, or you're changing some combination. So, it's tough on the players, and sometimes you've got to be in the right place at the right time. And for us, I think we'd like to think that we've been consistent in the way that we've selected players. Have definitely played the way in on tour. But the message to the rest of the squad is that you might have not been selected for the first test, but looking back in 2013, I think between the first and third test, there'd been something like 9 different positional changes because of either injury or form. And so for those other players that have missed out on the first test, they get a chance to play against the Hurricanes, to hopefully play well and put themselves into contention for the second test. And you never know what's going to happen with injuries, or as selectors, we change our mind and want to look for different combinations as well.